Making the content on the Monday side dish. Headkrack, Cody and Tanner. What's going on, y'all? Welcome to Side Dish. We are more than an appetizer when it comes to pop culture and fun. We are the whole meal. Shout out to everybody who survived the weekend. I'm glad to have y'all back in our square. I go by the name of Headkrack. We got my partner in crime, Shan, over there. How you feeling, bro?
Oh my gosh, I'm feeling good. It's so good. I'm happy to be here with you, but it looks like we're missing Claudia.
Yeah, like sometimes, like the technology gets a case of the Mondays as well, but we make it happen. You know what I'm saying? She's riding shotgun virtually somewhere in the atmosphere. So she's here with us in spirit. You know what I mean? Shout out to everybody in the chat.
Absolutely.
Yeah, man.
Oh
And
my
they're
gosh,
already
I'm
locked
looking
and
at
loaded.
Tawana. I'm looking at Kenny, Anthony, Nicole. Anthony's been showing up.
Yo, I love it when we see these new faces that are new to the party, man. So keep that energy consistent. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. And let's get into the proceedings this evening, shall we? Well, straight out the gate, we got a little bad news. And anybody who follows the movie and film space, you probably heard this name. Diane Keaton, legendary actress known for movies such as The Good Wives Club, Godfather, just naming a few. What were some of her standout roles for you, Tanner?
The Father of the Bride franchise. That was the one she did with Steve Martin. And I think that's one that she actually even talked about when someone said, what were some of her favorite roles? I know she referenced that one. A lot of people know her from First Wives Club. I believe that was her, Bette Midler. It was her, Bette Midler, and oh my gosh, Melanie Griffith. And so Diane Keaton just kind of occupied that space, man. And Goldie Hawn, I'm so sorry. Melanie Griffith. So yeah, it was she was 79 years old, and it's tough because it's always sad to see anybody go, but 79 is getting up there into you've lived a good life,
Yeah, especially when you think about too the types of movies that she was in. Every now and then she would be in something a little bit more heavier with the weight, but she was ambidextrous stylistically to where she could do it all. She could do the serious stuff. She could make you laugh, and it was always one of those situations where when I was seeing something, I wouldn't be quick to turn the channel because there's some people that be in movies I'd be like, oh hell nah, but I would rock it out and see what she was doing, man. So rest in peace, Diane Keaton.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. She was one of those people. If anybody's watching right now, obviously her social media account is still up. Her Instagram is still up. I imagine it's going to stay up. And there are so many funny clips of her. I put one up in my story over the weekend, and she's coming down a bunch of stairs, and she's very seriously talking to the person, whoever's behind the camera. And she's got about 20 hats stacked up on top of each other. I mean, they are way up high up there. And she's like, I can't decide if I should just wear one or maybe I should wear all of the hats. What do you think? Which ones do you like? And it's just, she's very matter of fact about it, not trying to be funny at all. And it's just that's the kind of comedic spirit that we love,
Yeah, a lot of energy, man. So rest in peace, Diane Keaton, and anybody else we lost this weekend, whether you're famous or not, man. We living through some interesting times, man. But switching gears again, seems like the Bravo to jail pipeline just got another Bravo celebrity. Now, Real Housewife of Potomac star Dr. Wendy Osefo and her husband, Eddie, were arrested on Thursday, October 9th in Maryland for allegedly falsely reporting a burglary and theft. Now, here's what we know. Wendy, 41, looks great for 41, I might mind you, was arrested on 16 counts while her husband, Eddie, faced 18. And in April of 2024, when the couple reported a burglary and theft after returning from a vacation, the Osefos told authorities that more than $200,000 worth of jewelry, luxury goods, clothing, and shoes were taken. And an investigation by detectives found the Osefos returned approximately $20,000 worth of stolen items prior to the alleged theft burglary. So it was an old bait and switch and acting like we still got it, right? So the couple's also accused of filing 3 separate insurance claims, claiming that $450,000 worth of goods had been stolen, and both were released after posting bail. And for those that really be following the whole Real Housewives situation, they joined Potomac back in 2020. But what do you make of all this, Tanner? Because because the insurance companies low-key be scamming us as citizens, and every now and then I do like to see people get a little get back.
Okay, first off, HK, you're never wrong. You're absolutely right. The insurance companies are getting one up on us, but they tried to get one too far back. Like, if you are going to say that $200,000 worth of goods have been stolen, and then you're going to file a couple other reports, and then you're going to skin it 450, call that $500,000. And they realized that you would return $20,000 worth of stuff before then. The difference there is over $400,000. I mean, even if we're just rounding to the largest numbers. And so my thing is like, these Real Housewife shows, they pay good and they put people on. And if you can hang on one of those shows for years and years and years, you can have an extremely large platform to make you and your family wealthy for generations. But I feel like the trick that so many of these people fall into is maybe, do they want too much too fast?
Could be a thing. And also too, like, trying to keep up with everybody in that space that either has started on the show before you have, and you want some of the same things they got, because like sometimes, comparison is the thief of joy. I'm pretty sure I botched that quote up, but it's not too far from it. And sometimes you got to live your version of what your best life is, that free, not locked up and go in the court version of your life, and not do the extra stuff. And then also, if I may throw in my Remy Ma, are you dumb voice? There's also an alleged email from Eddie to Wendy asking her to add items to the claim so they can run the amounts up, man. Like, listen, man, you're supposed to do that on WhatsApp, not your actual email in which you handle business. Not saying that I'm telling you how to do your crime.
Yeah. It's so crazy to me. Also, does Bravo, HK, man, does Bravo share some kind of responsibility for this? Is Bravo putting the pressure on them that they have extra pressure to, that keeping up with the Joneses idea, where it's like, now instead of just keeping up with people who you're regular friends with and in your regular life, you're trying to keep up with some of these celebrities who've been at this high level for years and years and years. So you can put on the show for the show. You can seem to be like ultra glamorous, and this is where it got them.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's hard for me to point the finger at Bravo, right? Because at the end of the day, sometimes the gig is the gig, and they're going to pay you to do the gig, and you can decide you're going to accept that money or not going to accept that money. But what you're not going to do is, like, get in the situation, feel like you deserve more, should be demanded more, and try to, like, run up a scam just to try to keep up. But then also, too, maybe this is a bigger deal because they're famous now. Maybe they was always from Scandyland, and this is the first thing that kind of came to light, in real time. I don't know. Like, I'm trying to read the chat to see what they talk about. A lot of people
that extended version of this is me not knowing.
Yeah, Ms. Lopez said the greedy dog. Big Sis Chris said insurance claim adjusters.
Mr. Kean says, "Don't CC me on robberies, please."
Yeah, man. Like, listen, no paper trail, digital or none, or any of the other things, man. You got to move better, folks. We don't want y'all locked up over some nonsensory. Stop keeping up with the Joneses. All right, well, let's talk about former vice president.
It's
Kamala
also crazy,
Harris.
too.
Go ahead. Oh, go ahead. What was you about to say, brother? I know there's a little bit of a delay, and we're working through it. But go ahead, bro.
Well, I was just gonna say the last thing I was gonna say about it is because, like, this is the last thing I was gonna say about it is trying to pull a scam like this has impacted you further in the future than the short gains that you would have got in this scenario. That's it. That's all.
Now, whatever extra money you got, that's going to legal fees now. Congratulations, you played yourself. Now, Kamala Harris has had enough. She was on a stop on her book tour when pro-Palestinian protesters interrupted her talk. Well, Madam Vice President had enough and said this.
Enough. And I
Kamala Harris, you are right now.
President of the United States.
Wow. Yeah. Now, if you couldn't hear it over the chair, and Kamala basically said, "I'm not the president of the United States. Go talk to him." I do like clapback Kamala. What say you?
Let me tell you. Yeah, it's so tricky. First off, it's like I just want to take this like super quick opportunity because I am a big believer in protest, and but protest is often against the positions or persons of power. And there are places in this country right now where people are trying to protest, some folks dropping in on them, and those protests are getting heated, and I really support that. But what is protesting Kamala Harris going to do for you right now? What's Kamala going to do? What can she do? She can't do anything. She lost the election. We all know how it goes, regardless of how anybody feels about it. And so interrupting her while she's trying to sell some books and move on with her life, I think it's just petty and rude.
Yeah, at this point, you can get like an autographed book and a pantsuit. There's nothing else that Kamala can do for you at this point in the game.
Yeah.
What is this? What is this outburst going to do? Y'all should have voted. Like, the same people are protesting. Did you vote? And who did you vote for? Like, don't be mad now because you don't like what what you ordered. You know what I mean? Like, it is what it is, man. Grant Powell said, lucky she wasn't wearing slippers. I think that's alluding to the fact that Kamala would have threw the slippers, aka
the chancla.
Man, like Tanner, let's just say if you had any level of political influence and all the powers that come with being person who is in the
Let's go.
What would you have done in this scenario?
Oh, if I'm Kamala?
Yeah.
Oh, man, it's so weird. Like, I feel like she did the right thing. I feel like the fact that she went from 0 to 8 or wherever she was at personally for her, I am not the president. Go talk to him. That is the energy I would be keeping. I would have stood up and I would have looked that person dead in the eyes. What do you want me to do? You can buy a book and I'll sign it for you. But if you're worried about Palestine and Israel right now, like, which is a worthwhile concern, which is a very worthwhile concern. But this forum right here isn't going to get you where you want to go.
Yeah. I remember they was throwing shoes at people. Remember that when they threw a shoe at Bush? And he was like, I'm glad this wasn't that type of energy.
One of the most classic ones, and regardless of how anybody feels about him, Ronald Reagan had some really solid quips. He was a former actor, so he's had keeps him in the chamber. And he was speaking overseas somewhere. I forget where it is, but there's some balloons. There's like hot air balloons or something. Not like big hot air balloons, but there's balloons behind him. And he's in the middle of a speech, and one of them goes off like pow. And it sounds like a gunshot. You can find this clip. And it goes pow. And he just pauses for a second, and then he goes, missed me. And he just keeps going. He just keeps talking. And I'm like, it's crazy. It's a crazy world.
Yeah, I would do everything but taunt people with try again type threats. You know what I'm saying? Because, cats will be like, oh, challenge accepted, inserts quarter, in steps new challenger.
Yeah. Speaking of in steps challenger, this is probably my favorite story of the day. Serena Williams' husband, a guy named Alexis Ohanian, he dropped by ESPN's First Take, right? And Alexis checked Stephen A. Smith live on air for Stephen A.'s comments on Serena dancing during Kendrick's Super Bowl halftime show. Take a look and pay close attention to Stephen in this video.
Well, also, too, Stephen A. Smith, I think you had some marriage advice for me. Is that right? Or
well, you know what? Listen, I didn't. People, headlines are headlines. We can get into that another time. But I was hoping you were going to be here. I'm not. Oh no, I am not qualified. Married? Right. Oh no, not me.
Well, I give advice to plenty of founders who want to build billion-dollar companies, and the reason I do that is because I build billion-dollar companies. Yeah. So I generally try to stay in my lane as advice.
Then we'll talk marriage advice later.
No.
Yo, that was big Porky Pig energy that he had right there, man.
Yeah,
you gotta keep the same energy because sometimes, when you say the things you say, and then when the person you said the things about pop up, even if you're not even in the same room. You gotta keep it consistent, man. His voice went up 3 pitches higher. Kind of like when I get pulled over by the police, I turn into either that person or a British man. Like it wasn't this serious.
What we've got here is we've actually got Stephen's response. So let's take a quick look at that too.
I have absolutely no issue with him whatsoever wanting to address that situation with me because that's her husband. I was just saying that men, knowing us as men, if we're married and our wife is showing energy towards anybody else, even in a negative way, we're asking ourselves, if you're happy, why show that energy? But he was sitting there saying, you wasn't married, right? So, you give him marital advice. That's how he framed it. And he says, I give advice about building companies because that's what I do, essentially implying that I'm not married, so who am I to say something like that? I don't have to agree with it, but I took no offense to it, and if I had been in studio and that was something that he wanted to broach, I would have reiterated what I said, maybe in a more respectable manner than my initial reaction after Super Bowl Sunday when I was just having fun. The point is that I respect him. That's her husband. That's his wife. And evidently, he didn't like what I said. I respect it.
Steven stands. Has this man ever apologized for anything in his life?
I mean, I feel like the apologies that I heard, and I don't remember what they were for. I feel like they were slightly forced, or it was like an apology, but then he came back and wiped it up to where it wasn't quite an apology when it was said and done. And he didn't even have that energy on the call. You know what I mean? Like he toughened it up for the individual solo thing, and still not 1,000%. Like he wasn't even standing on business; he was limping on it.
I heard you had some marriage advice for me. That's all, folks, not me. And then when he got to collect himself, he was like, I just want Alexis to know that if I was in studio, I would have addressed it, maybe a little more respectfully in the moment. I was just playing during the Super Bowl, but as men to men, we understand. Come on, Steven, your relationship with women is not the same as Alexis's and Serena's. Every relationship's got their own thing. And I'm not saying that what I'm saying is that I wouldn't have commented on another man's wife. That's what I'm saying.
And then if you do, you gotta be prepared for whatever smoke comes with that. You know what I mean? Granted, I don't know who would win in a fist fight between Alexis Ohanian and Stephen A. Smith, and I definitely don't think it would ever go there.
No, yeah.
However, if I'm Alexis Ohanian, I feel like I can cash app some people that can make something weird happen to you. But to each his own. To each his own.
This also illuminated for me. I we know Stephen A. Smith, and I like Stephen A. Smith. I want to make it clear. I do like Stephen A. Smith. He's had a very long career, and it's very easy to bring people down who've had a career that long. But we don't see much of Alexis Ohanian. You know what I'm saying? To my knowledge, he's never been on ESPN before. And I like this little bit of swagger. I like this little bit of directness. I like this little, have you had some marriage advice for me? I build $1 billion companies. He wasn't backing down for nothing. And I was like, oh, okay, I get it.
Yeah, he came in with that BDE, billion dollar energy.
That's right.
He was definitely confident and still 10 toes down, kilt and all. Yep. And I rock with Steven too, but I'm just bro, you can't not be the bully when it's time to bully. When it's bully time, you guys still be the bully.
Right.
You ain't never heard the Gooch talk in italics. You ain't never heard Mr. T talk pleasantly.
Right.
Well, maybe you have. He did that song about his mom, but I digress. Yeah. We got to go to break, but when we come back from the break, man, there's so much to talk about. Child support, things going on with some of your favorite rappers and more. All coming back in 2 minutes. Welcome back to Side Dish. Now, actor Darius McCray, forever known as Eddie Winslow, is living up to his last name, keeping those wins low. He got busted near the U.S.-Mexico border in California, possibly on his way to go live La Vida Loca, and the U.S. Border Patrol picked him up on an out-of-state felony charge with the case listed as a fugitive arrest, which in California applies to individuals wanted by another state for a serious crime. Now, the crime? Failure to appear from a missed court appearance related to his failure to pay child support. Now, he's running into issues with child support before he was arrested back in 2015 and again in 2023, due to failure to pay. What do you think, man? You think he was trying to start a new life in Tijuana, or he's just going over there to get some meds?
Wow. In my heart of hearts, I like to think that maybe he didn't know about the court appearance and he was just headed down to TJ for a little weekend fun. That's what I want to think. But that's because I have fond memories of Eddie Winslow, that I don't know Darius McCray. I don't think it's great to have consistent failure to pay child support and to get into trouble about that consistently over time, because it just feels like it's going to get worse. And the idea that he might be going to Mexico to just bail out of the whole thing and start a whole new life, that's kind of extreme.
I mean, it's a weird narrative that I don't know if there's any weight or truth to the
right. Yeah.
Thing. I think he was just probably sliding down there because it's Tijuana. But one thing I do have a problem with is people being incarcerated over failure to pay child support. Because, hey, if you're trying to get that money, sending that person to prison or jail or just taking them off the grid for any pocket of time is not a great way to get the money. Let's just say if they did have a job and they was trying to get caught up on their bills so they could possibly pay you, guess what might happen if they have to do a little bit of time or any time whatsoever? They might lose that job.
Yo, HK, we are the only country in the world with a cash bail system. Did you know that?
Yeah, because there's so much money and there's so many things that we do here in America, and it is all just relegated on the fact that someone somewhere is making money on this. Even when you think about the whole medical infrastructure, the way that you sell your drugs instead of the prevention, most insurances don't cover freaking acupuncture, which actually helps a lot more than it hurts. And we just cash rules everything around us. And just
in case if that bridge there wasn't super clear, when someone is picked up, let's say you're sitting in jail, right? And you can bail yourself out, right? Well, in other countries, they are let out most of the time. And if it's for a small crime or for a fee, they can go back to work and they can start working on the thing to pay that off and get their life back in order. His child support was something like $1,300 a month, which is not a crazy amount of money. We've seen settlements where child support is in the tens of thousands, because somebody's there on a show that's still on the air right now or whatever it is. And so to throw him in jail is to, like you said, I'm just now repeating exactly what you said, but that is to inhibit his ability to make that extra $1,300 a month. And that's just going to stack up over time and put him further down in the hole. Now, if he knew about this and if he should have been at that court hearing, well, yeah, that's kind of on him. But traveling to TJ when you got to pay some child support and they're expecting you in court, that's maybe a decision you shouldn't have made.
I mean, I've never been to Mexico before. I've been to New Mexico. Don't think it's the same, right?
No.
Fair enough. But from what I understand, it's just cheap to do things in Tijuana. You can go to Tijuana with probably $112 and live your best life, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the dollar, you get many mas pesos for a few dolores, so you can definitely have a good time down in TJ for sure.
Let us know in the chat, what can you do in Tijuana with $1,300?
Yeah, what would you do? What would you do with $1,300 in TJ? Okay, we got to shift gears here a little bit, and this one is for the ladies. We're really looking for a feminine perspective here, so women, please get in the chat and help give HK and myself a little education in this scenario. The story is about if a guy gives you a hug and he lets his hands linger in sort of one of those questionable areas. I don't know if you can see me. Oh, there we go. And one of those questionable areas a little too long, right? You know what I'm saying? Women, they obviously know what I'm saying. So the creative director of this fashion brand is called Vetements. His name, which I'm going to mess up here, I'm so sorry, is Guram Gvavsalia. He's getting a little heat after he was caught in good old high definition greeting Ice Spice in a way that some people were saying is a little too familiar. Check this video out. Whoa.
But it's so real. There is a story behind that situation.
Okay. All right. It's HK, and we're gonna get. I definitely want the female perspective here in the chat, but like HK, off the rip, what were your feelings about that? Now here there are other photos, so there's extra context here.
Well, that's a different person. That's Doja Cat, and that's crazy
Oh,
that
sorry,
she.
yeah.
Well, actually, it's actually not crazy that she allowed that because she's a whites only fountain. However, I don't know where my man is from because some cultures are a lot more touchy feely, peppy le pewy than some of the places that we used to be in around, right? So, the thing is, you got to read the room, and if somebody moves there, adjust themselves, it's kind of a sign. But, you know, I don't know what's customary. Like, you know, if I was a woman, I would have probably felt a little bothered unless I was attracted to the person. And then it's okay because it's just weird how that works, right? So, yeah, I don't know much about this guy, where he's from, to know if it's out of bounds. You know, I'm looking at people in the chat. Big Sis Chris says, depends on your relationship. So if Ice Spice was in a relationship and her man saw another man with his hands that low, you might have a conversation, a tough one, in all caps.
It's tricky. It's like you said, culture. There's the context of culture. There's no doubt about that. I was looking at her face. I was watching her face more than anything else, because when she turned around, if she had a smile and if she looked really pleased to be there, or even like a little giggly or whatever it might be, then I would feel completely differently about this. But when she turned around, she had a very straight face, and there was no humor in it. And so to me, those are the context clues that I took away, that she wasn't plussed, you know what I'm saying? She wasn't excited or happy necessarily that he was touching her like this. And I feel for her in this scenario, and I feel like women wind up in these scenarios a lot, is there's a lot of cameras around, and there's a lot of people around. And if you, and I can only imagine women in the chat know exactly what I'm about to say, is like, and if you straighten a guy out for putting his hand someplace where they might not supposed to be, or being just a little too familiar, then people might turn around and say like, oh, well, she's a bit, or like she didn't know, or he, or think about his culture, or, you know, or he didn't know, or whatever it is, versus standing there and taking it. I can tell you, for me, that I will give a full-on hug, but then I try to get out of there, and I reserve the two hands, that cupping thing, that is intimate. That is intimate only. Yeah.
Yeah, because it seems like it lifted the back of the dress a little bit, maybe because it's a height thing, and I know I saw it making the adjustments and whatnot. It's just one of those things where like some people like just go along with it and then complain to people later, and you know, survive the moment, right? And then even when you look at Ice Spice's expression, she only has 3, so you never really know how she feels about anything. But you know, a lot of people in the chat feel like, yo, listen, she didn't reciprocate, so that should have been a but how do you reciprocate that if you're a woman? Because then it gets weird, because like if a guy does that, then as a woman, if you even raise the stakes just even a little bit by embracing it, then it just opens the door for more uncomfortability. And you know, women, I know y'all go through a lot, man, and we as men can only just try to go like this and just try to listen and hear you out, just to try to understand all the things that y'all go through in the course of a day. And I apologize on behalf of men who cross boundaries and overstep their bounds in ways, spaces, and places that they shouldn't, because I understand how you could feel powerless in that moment.
I also want to say, just real quick, it's not on anyone but her to determine what the right time or place is, perhaps to let him know that wasn't the appropriate thing. Like, there's also the context of like, I didn't like this. we'll talk about this a little bit later. I'm just going to keep it trucking right now for the event or whatever we're doing. So I get that too.
And she has to make up like a public statement, because if she put it in a song, we ain't gonna know how she feel.
All right, but we got a truck right along. Has Ajay Wilson made GOAT status? Is that the convo? So congratulations are in order for Asia Wilson and her team, the Las Vegas Aces. God, they just secured their third WNBA championship in 4 years. Asia had an incredible finals game. She had 31 points and 9 rebounds, respectable stats. Not only did she make history with those stats, she became the first player in the history of the W to post 3 straight finals games with 25 points and 10 rebounds. She also made history as the first WNBA player to win an MVP, Finals MVP, and Defensive Player of the Year all in the same season. Here she is with an emotional reaction to her championship win as her boyfriend, NBA player Bam Adebayo. Congratulations, sir. That's my girl. That's my girl. Wow.
That's dope, man. Like, I'm mad that no one invited me to the WNBA playoff party.
Mm-hmm. We talked a lot. Listen, I feel like this last year, we spent a lot of time talking about Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark when we should have been talking about Asia Wilson.
I mean, I feel like these players need to be talked about a lot more, about all of the things, because I know it's easy to try to make a punchline. You know, I just tried, right? And the thing is, this is a real sport that people show up for, and it is exciting. And I tell anybody to give it a chance. I went to a few Atlanta Dream games, and when I tell you, not only is the energy in the arena really electric, these women really be putting it on. Like they're really I mean, you ain't gonna see no dunks. You know, no one's ankles getting broken. People might clumsily trip like newborn giraffes. But the pacing, the back and forth of it all, the shots being made, they're playing hard. And I love to see that. And I want to see these women get celebrated a little bit more. Like the promo should have been there. I've seen more like AI Martin Luther King this weekend doing wrestling moves than I have anything about the WNBA or even the baseball finals that are apparently happening.
Oh, yeah, the finals, the Doyers. All right. Well, we got to take a quick break, but we'll be back with more Side Dish in just 2 minutes.
Welcome back to Side Dish, y'all. And listen, man, there's a lot of rumors and conversations going on about why dating is bad in 2025, and we talk about it all the time. But TikToker Mystic Max shares his theory on why that is. Take a look.
As a married person who him and his wife both have single friends, I am thoroughly convinced that dating sucks. You ready? Dating sucks because there is an ongoing literacy crisis in the country, and it's been going on for years. People want a relationship but can't relate to each other for a litany of reasons, and I am thoroughly convinced that one of those reasons is that there's a lack of understanding. There's a lack of understanding because there's a lack of comprehension. There's a lack of comprehension because people, and a lot of them, almost more than half the country, are functionally illiterate. How you gonna be in a relationship with somebody and they don't even know what that means? Also won't understand what being in a relationship with you and learning how to comprehend you. Just a thought, sounds crazy. I'm gonna leave you with that.
All right, Tana, you're freshly back from outside. What has been your experience in that department?
I think there's a lot of reasons. I think what he's talking about is a very layered and complex issue. It's so funny to boil it down to literacy is really fascinating. And that's something I hadn't really thought about before. I think in men in particular, I think emotional intelligence is not something that as men interact with men and as we move through the world in male spaces that we're necessarily I don't want to say programmed, or that isn't necessarily baked into the way that we process things. And I feel like emotional intelligence is like the number one thing that women want from men. Now he's talking about literacy, and here's the thing about that is like, yeah, if you're not one of those people that's very literate, then, and I hate to say this, then maybe learning is a little hard for you. And anytime something is hard, it's probably going to be doubly worth your effort to get good at it. And because if you can't learn to get a hold of like basic words, how are you supposed to learn the inner workings of another human being?
Oh, and that's a phenomenal point. I saw somebody in the chat, Naja Renee, said that's why I'm not talking to a guy I thought I liked anymore. It was just the lack of comprehension and the ability to understand what's going on. And I think also, too, people deal with not being able to read social cues well, right? I think this new world that we're in, where a lot of people do more texting than talking, it made people socially awkward. They don't know necessarily how to, like, to read and respond or understand the intent in which was sent. You know what I mean? Because especially if you have implicit bias on or with the person that you're talking to, you might read something in a completely different way. Have a nice day. Don't tell me what to do.
Right.
Like it just all depends on how your brain is wired. So sometimes you do have to have conversations, real conversations, in person, on the phone, whatever, anything but just texting. I think it's just a detached way to approach somebody.
Well, and also people need to listen to the man. HK's been married a while now. When I was in my last relationship, and I couldn't figure out what was going on, and I was talking to a buddy of mine who's been married, and I was like, oh, and I wrote this and she wrote this, and he was like, what are you doing? And I was like, well, we were texting. He's like, stop texting right now, and you got to get on the phone. And it's one of those things where, like, intellectually I knew that, but it's easy to get caught up in the moment of like, I'm going to be right, and I'm going to say this, and I'm going to be right, I'm going to send this thing. But that's the thing, that it might feel right for half a second, but that's just going to lead you down a wrong path, because all that's going to lead to is this right here. The other thing I'll tell you real quick, and because we talked about this, is like the apps, right? And I think one of the things they call it is, I think it's called the paradox of choice, which is the more options that you have, the less likely you are to make a decision. And so if you feel like there's an infinite number of swipes one way or the other, oh, it didn't work out with this person. I spent 20 whole minutes trying to work out this disagreement. Next, someone else. And I feel like that's a big part of it too.
Yeah, man. Seeing y'all in the chat. Yo, this is episode 2 grown. Shout out to Mr. Keen in the chat.
Yeah, too grown. Sorry about it. Speaking of too grown, we got to move on. We're grabbing the next story, right? Are we already there?
Yeah, we moving on.
Okay, cool. Moving on. Okay, listen up, stay-at-home moms, because Gen Z sons are stealing your gig. I'm talking about trad sons. Have you guys heard of this? Trad sons. They're adult sons who are done with the 9 to 5, right? They're done with it by choice or by circumstance, and they're trying to live at home with their parents. They're cooking, they're cleaning, they're running some errands. In exchange, they get a little room and board. It's a play on the term trad wife, which I know a couple of those. I found out through Facebook. But trad wife is traditional wife. Have you heard of this?
I've heard of trad wife, and I didn't commit it to memory because, like, I just didn't. And trad, listen, man, if you're a trad child, you are setting yourself up for failure. Because guess what's going to happen one day?
What's that?
You're going to be Bruce Wayne. Read between the lines, right? Aww. And not Bruce Wayne in a way to where like you're going to inherit a fortune and fight crime at night, but your parents is going to go away at some point. And if you're not prepared to go out there in the real world and deal with it and go eat what you kill, you're not going to be prepared. You listen, it is tougher than it has ever been to be a human in the workforce, to be in and all these other things. And like, if you're just at home living a soft life, helping fold laundry, man, life gonna fold you.
I think, yeah, it's going to fold you real quick. Evidently, a couple of the reasons that they're doing this is they're staying at home to save money or pay off debt, and which I would co-sign that for a little while. That's a season. If you're trying to get some money saved up or you got a little thing, you're working on a specific thing, I'll co-sign that. But then one of the other reasons, take care of aging parents. Okay, I get that too, but there's also an age parameter in there. Like if your parents are in their 50s, they probably don't need your help. And then some of them are just like too stressed out, and so they're prioritizing it as a move for their mental health as opposed to being a part of the rat race. And all I got to tell you is the rat race is going to be there one way or the other. And so you got to get real used to it. Well, you guys in the chat, people in the chat, I want to know from my ladies, could you date a trad son, or do you understand them? Do I perhaps have it wrong? Let me know if I got it wrong and you think that this is the smart move for a young man these days.
I mean,
yeah.
You know, like for one, my oldest, right? He's still in the house, but he works. He's helpful. He's almost like a extra human set of hands that we need here to make everything flow the way it flows. Because everybody busy. Everybody got things going on. So sometimes you need that extra help. And granted, I'm not ready to throw my kid into the world. And I know my kid is an adult, but you know, like, hey man, whenever you're ready to bounce, you can bounce. I'm not one of those people like, you're 18, leave. Like there's some people who got that kind of energy, and he was about to bounce. He was like preparing to bounce during at the beginning of the pandemic, and he found a place and everything. And then like right as everything started tightening up, he fell back. And I'm like, and I had a conversation with him like, yo, listen, don't ever feel like, you know, like you being pressured to have to get out of here. As long as you like not just living off of the situation and you're like doing your part and helping out, man, you could be here as long as you want, because it makes me happy when I see him.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Well, and he's doing things like he's not like I've seen what I follow him on socials. And so I see what he's up to, and I see the things that he's creating for himself, you know, and it would be like a different scenario if it's like somebody who's not doing anything, not putting themselves out there, not trying to build something for themselves. I totally get that at all. I also think that there is a lot of grace, or I feel like there should be a lot of grace for people in that age range. Oh man, I know a couple guys, HK, a guy that I graduated with. I'm talking about graduated high school with, and now he's a full grown man. And this guy, and I hope to everything that his mother isn't watching because she gets online. This is a full-grown man who's my own age, and he's never held down a job for a year straight, and he's never held down his own place for 6 months straight, and he lives at home. And that's and I don't even think he's doing these things. You know what I'm saying? And so I feel like there's two ends of that spectrum.
Yeah, some people are just not equipped to go out there and get it because whether their parents baby.
Oh, might have lost HK. Sometimes they're there. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I got trad internet sometimes.
You got that trad net.
Marion Gilly said, my brother moved out at 25. Mama Mel said, I'm moving in with Headkrack in them. Come on, when you have 4 children, you might as well have 9. We gotta go to break. When we come back, we hit y'all with the question of the day, man. Get your thinking caps on. We coming at y'all in 2. Welcome back, gang. Shout out to all y'all in the chat. We threw a poll question out there. Ladies, would you date a trad son? And the let's see, the stats are 25% sure said sure, why not? And the other, now it's 27. It's going up. They're gaining popularity out there.
They're getting hotter.
Yeah, it's like, yo, I could get with this. Some ladies are saying. Anyway, it's time for the question of the day. You know, we got to set the scene for you. All right, so listen, you get a call that your ex is in the hospital while you with your current person, right? The hospital says you were your ex's emergency contact and there was nobody else to call and they are seriously hurt. Do you go to the hospital and see them or not? And if you the new boo, would you want them to go or not? And how would you feel about the whole thing?
If there's nobody else, how can you not go? I mean, it also depends on like, what was the breakup? Was the breakup like brutal? Was there cheating? Was there lying? Or is this a good person and it just didn't work out with them and they got nobody else?
And all those things are in the realm of possibility, right? And I know some like, you know, people that operate in the current boo space, they would like to go just to make sure it's finalized. They're going for the wrong reason. Like their heart ain't in the right place. It's like, yeah, let me unplug your ventilator and charge my phone. That kind of energy. But I mean, at the end of the day, like everybody has a past, everybody has a history. And I think long as I'm not being blindsided by this information in real time, like, yo, who's this ex all of a sudden that I'm hearing about today that you about to go see in the hospital? Like, you know, like, so I think if you are forthcoming and transparent, getting hit with this kind of news isn't so heavy. What say y'all in the chat?
For sure. Erica Watkins said she would go with him. Lamont says, Mom. Mariano says, yep, I'll go. Nazia Rena, sorry if I got that wrong. She said, OMG, I'm thinking about my most recent ex, and I would be so annoyed. Mama Mel says, do they need an organ? Mel, you giving her one? Y'all so grown on the chat, just moving out in high school and whatnot. Yeah, I trust them to go. That's what Miriam says. That's my thing. It's like, I would trust them to go. And look, me and my ex were each other's emergency contacts for a hot minute. So if anything did happen, like that's what would pop up in my phone.
Which ex? Like the most of season 1 ex? Damn, how were you the emergency contact? Like, it seemed like there was more times where you guys were at odds than at ends. And like, were you the only person she knew in the States? Like,
No. Well, it was also no, not like that. Not like that. I mean, look, it was good. It was good for a long time, and then it wasn't good. But then also, secret tip out there: like if you're one of those people whose phones goes to do not disturb or sleep mode at night, your emergency contact always gets through.
oh, there's that. Yeah.
There's that part. So
And sometimes you just got called twice and it just busts through the sleep mode.
yeah,
That's a pro tip for y'all.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
let's just say if you got called today, Tanner, like if
Mhm.
you know, if that person hit you up
Mhm.
and it's like, yo, listen,
If it was real, if it was real, yeah, I don't have any hate. I don't have any hate in my heart for anybody. And yeah, even if somebody who things did not end in a completely copacetic, happy manner in which we were both in agreement on, and they were in a bad way in a hospital, yes, I would go there because I feel like having some familiar face might be helpful in a time of need.
yo, shout out to the chat who's very invested in the show. Nicole O'Brien said, which ex?
Listen,
Damn, Tanner.
don't
I left the name out, but you had to be here.
Yeah. One time she was literally like, "Oh, you said this and you said this," and I was like, "Oh, damn, she is watching the show."
Oh, word.
Yeah.
How very KGB of this person.
Yeah.
Monitoring the activity on closed circuit television. My thing is like, yo, if the shoe is on the other foot and like, you know, like I'm with somebody and they get the call that they ex is in the hospital, I'm going. Because hospitals, man, them damn graham crackers that they got and that hospital ice and the juice where you got to peel the foil back is special. It is. Ocean Spray ain't doing that.
The other thing is like, can I get a gram of tan? Sorry, I just saw that. Listen, now I got to click on that profile and see, is that a Marsha or a Marka?
You never know. You never know.
It's good. It's good to have someone you know in the hospital. Go there for people, even if you're not gonna, even if things aren't the best, they might need somebody there. Okay, great. We gotta take a quick 2-minute break, but when we come back, we're gonna play everybody's favorite game. You already know what it is. Whose cousin is it? And we'll see you in 2.
Welcome back to Side Dish. Shout out to everybody in the chat who knows good eating when they see it. Yes, hospital ice and food is elite. It sometimes is worth the premium. It is time for everybody's favorite game.
Whose cousin is it?
gonna do that. All right, man. Listen, yo, this story is nuts, literally. Now, Toledo, Ohio police say a 45-year-old woman went full Grey's Anatomy on her man by slicing open his family jewels.
She allegedly kicked down the door like a one-woman SWAT team and ran up in her boyfriend's house with no permission. He heard this ruckus. He ran downstairs naked, and snip, snip, she cut his scrotum wide open with an unknown instrument.
How rude. The dude was rushed to the hospital, but as of last week, the bald bandit was still on the loose. Cops filed an arrest warrant and hit her with felonious assault and aggravated burglary. All right, y'all. Whose cousin is it?
Wow.
Cutlery to the nutlery is very specific work.
Right?
You think it's your cousin?
Well, was it the most famous cutlery to the nutlery, Lorena Bobbitt? She's one of my cousins, right?
I thought she was of Latino descent, or maybe she was just a gym tan laundry kind of chick who looked racially ambiguous. I will Google.
Well, okay, so I know Bobbitt was the married last name, so she could have been of Latino descent. Yeah, John Wayne, right? John Wayne Bobbitt, wasn't that guy's name?
Yeah, sure was. Usually
Yeah.
with that type of name, he would have been the person doing the cutting.
Right.
Yeah, so close to Gacy.
Toledo, Ohio.
Now,
Yeah.
oh, there we go. Lorena was Ecuadorian. Thank you, Arlene. So yeah, I'm gonna lean heavy on other, just on the strength of sharp objects and and clearly this guy wasn't black, because we're not gonna let you get that close.
Okay, in the chat, somebody says HK's cousin. Someone says we already went whitery with the nuttery. They say black on this one. We got some Chewy's cousin. We got a Chopsticks cousin. Who else we got? I'm sorry.
Yo, Mr. Keen is wild.
Yo, I can't say that one out loud. I can't say that out loud. It's B's Growth and Development says, I'm sorry, if it's a knife, it's Latino, which is an interesting
Yeah, no. Mr. Keen said it was I Had a Dreams cousin.
No,
which makes it possibly like my cousin. But no, I'm gonna stick to my guns on this one. I'm gonna rock heavy with other cousin. A crime of passion. And let me tell you, Latinos are very passionate, and that's on both sides of that relationship fence. Like they're willing to lay their life on the line and risk their freedom to prove that they love you more than the other leading brand that was trying to woo your attention.
Yeah, it's not that they want to kill you. They want you to remember this for the rest of your life. Si se puede. I'm going with other cousin.
And also we want to point out this is National Hispanic Heritage Month. We just got that from our producer.
Man,
September 15th through October 15th.
Yeah,
Mama Mel said, I love how racist and real we are in the chat. All right, so let's reveal the deal. Tanner, you want to do the honors, brother?
Yeah, let's do it. 3, 2, 1. Move that van.
Whoa, wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Juanita.
Like it's almost like when a computer program gets an upgrade. Like we leveled up in the world of violence and tension.
Yeah. What did he do? I just want to know what this man did that Janita came for him like this.
Probably went to go see that bitch in the hospital.
I know you weren't his emergency contact.
But for him to be naked when she got there, like maybe she walked in, he was watching something on his phone or tablet he shouldn't be watching, and like it was the opposite of what she looked like, and she felt the way. It all can happen. But anyway, shout out to y'all in the chat. I'm shocked as you are. We're gonna do this again tomorrow. Shout out to Claudia Jordan. She'll be back in the building manana.
Grant Powell said her name should have been Janita Choppings, and that's about the best comment of the night. Oh, so good to see you guys. See you, Jay. See you, Grant. See you, Erica, Batty, Nazia, Lamont, Miriam, Mr. Kian, Justin, Yannick. Bye.